The Dallas Cowboys have had an active offseason so far for Cowboy standards, but how will that affect their overall draft? My name's Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and we've got a 3-round mock draft for you here coming up for the Cowboys. But before we do that, let's do all the YouTube stuff. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, let us know what you think of the draft, and tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. And Ryan, let's pull up the Cowboy slide deck.
Let's do it.
Last year, especially at this point, Cowboys did little to anything when it came to free agency. I think they maybe signed Eric Kendricks as like an external free agent. Other than that, like even some few re-signings. But they've actually been significantly more active than I thought when it came to free agency relative for the Dallas Cowboys over the past couple of years, bringing on a couple of running backs, Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, several edge rushers as well. Also, guys, I didn't think that would be available, like Dante Fowler and Peyton Turner on pretty team-friendly deals as well. Extended Osa Adugo-Wuzia. Is that close?
Osa Odigizua.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't too bad. Yours was an A+. Mine was like a C+. So, and then they've had a couple other trades as well. So, one thing they haven't really done too much, though, is add on other like pass catchers as well for Dak Prescott, guys to pair up with CeeDee Lamb. And that's why we think that they're going to end up going with a guy like Matthew Golden, a more kind of outside receiver, I think would be a good complement to CeeDee Lamb. And also keeping him in the state of Texas, I think Jerry Jones likes that as well. Ryan, what do you like about Matthew Golden here and what he can bring to this Cowboys offense?
In terms of wide receivers in this class, he's been the biggest riser, but I think he's also he's one of the best route runners. You can just kind of watch him and tell that he moves a little bit differently. And I think he's just a ready to go product. He has a high football IQ. He lived up to the moments as they got bigger, and he got better throughout the entire season. And so I really like Matthew Golden. I really consistent hands. He can win in contested catch situations. He can win down the field. Like, he just does a lot of things really well. And so I like what he brings to the table. A couple other options that they could go get a big run stuffing defensive tackle from Michigan that worked out well for them a few years ago in Kenneth Grant. All jokes aside, Kenneth Grant would be a really good pick there. For them, they could also go with Will Johnson and get another corner to go opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Or if they want to go with a more like true possession receiver, Emeka Egbuka would be a decent option there, where he caught like predominantly first downs all the time. So that would be a good compliment there. So
yeah, I do really believe that Cowboys can go in any direction. Even like they've made some signings, like they've signed like they traded for Kyrie Elam, and that's, I mean, maybe even more reason to get cornerback depth, if we're being honest. But I just because they've signed some guys on the defensive line does not make me think that they will shy away from going after an edge rusher, because all these deals are still 1-year deals. And so if they really like Kenneth Grant beefing up that defensive line, go along with Micah Parsons on one side, they like secondary, they want weapons, they want some more offensive line. Like, I really think the only position that's not really going to be in play here is going to be quarterback. You know, Dak Prescott's kind of financially committed to, well, the Cowboys are also kind of financially committed to Dak Prescott. And so I still think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league as well. Even though they've signed Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, to me, then doesn't make it impossible that they go with Ashton Genty.
Or Marion Hampton, even.
Or Marion Hampton, honestly. So they can go in any direction still, I feel, with the moves that they're making. They're just trying to find some bargain pieces, which I think they've done a good job so far. Some good value guys that can come in and still provide some good minutes here. So moving on to their second pick, talking about the defensive line and really that front seven, going after and getting Jalen Walker here. I think this is good value in that second round. Jalen Walker is definitely more of an edge rusher than he is linebacker, but he can play both. I think that would be a very interesting compliment to what Micah Parsons, or a compliment to Micah Parsons as well, with Micah Parsons being one of the best edge rushers in the league. You have this other just really athletic guy on the other side of him, but is he going to drop back into coverage? Is he going to blitz? You can move him around inside the like where he's going to be blitzing from, instead of just outside the tackle, maybe in between the tackles and between the guards. So I think he provides a lot of versatility to that front seven, and especially too as well with Demarion Overshone. He's going to be coming back from his knee injury. There's the other guy, Maurice Lufau. I'm butchering that last name. So, and that's a good young linebacking room as well too. So I think he would be a very unique addition to this edge rusher linebacking room. for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like this pick. I think that's really good value. I think he's starting to fall a little bit out of favor with the draft community just because he kind of got stuck in between positions. And then uh, most
Yeah.
guys that do that don't end up like Travis Hunter, where like they just start excelling at both. But
Well,
he started to become a little bit of a liability on passing downs when he was in coverage. But then he also was like you could tell he was a linebacker playing edge rusher at times. Uh, when he was rushing the passer. But with that being said, he has a really impressive skill set. He's a really high IQ football player, even though he struggled at times. Um, just to be able to play those two positions at that level of football, I think shows that he has a really high football IQ.
well, and I think one of the issues too with him is there's a pretty easy comparison, in my opinion, between him and then like Jahad Campbell. Is I think they're almost opposite. I actually think like Jalen Walker to me looks like an above average edge rusher, who's like the below average linebacker, but he can play both, and he was kind of forced to play both at Georgia.
Mhm.
While Jahad Campbell is an above average, if not like elite linebacker with high upside edge rushing capability and blitzing capabilities as well. So there's a lot
Yeah.
more value, I think, on how teams can utilize him. Jalen Walker is an athletic guy, and I think if he's like just was a pure edge rusher, maybe and that was just his thing, maybe the tape and the analysis would be a little bit better of him on that. But he did drop back into coverage. He does have some of that versatility, but just nowhere near as good of the versatility as a Jahad Campbell, like the exact opposite.
Yeah, no, and that's why I do think he ultimately falls. So I think it's a good pick. It's good value. They could also go Darian Porter, Jaden Higgins, Savion Williams if they don't get a weapon in the first round, or if they don't like if they want to
Yeah.
address corner here or a different part of the defense. But yeah, this is another spot. Like I could really see them. Like Alfred Collins is another one. They could go Princely Uman Mielen down there where the Falcons went and get
Yeah.
like more of a true edge rusher. So a lot of different ways they can go with this pick as well. The Cowboys' final pick here in the top 100 went with Quinshon Judkins, still adding depth to that running back room. I feel like Quinshon Judkins being here is tremendous value. He's a true bell cow back, but with how deep this running back class is, like it's amazing. Like Ollie Gordon is going to go in the fourth round. You have Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo there on the potential options. Devin Neal. Who's the kid from Kansas State?
Hick.
I can't. I forget his name off the top of my head, but
DJ Giddens. That's it.
DJ Giddens. Yeah,
DJ
and so
Giddens.
like there's just so many guys that are going to come in and give starting caliber reps out of this running back class in the 2025 draft that like you can really wait until the third, fourth round and take a guy that is going to be a really, really solid player for your offense.
Yeah. No, and once again, too, as we've talked about this, they can go in any different direction. I do feel of their first three picks. I know we went receiver in the first round, but this pick right here definitely does seem like it's going to be offensive skill position player. As you said, like some of the guys are obviously not going to be available, but this is that second and third round, those day two skill position players. There's going to be a lot of these guys where there's not the value that they're going to bring is not going to be too much of variance overall from like beginning of second round to like the end of the third round. So this pick to me does seem like it is going to be in that prime running back spot. There were several other guys that were available here. Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, I think would be interesting depending on what they're trying to do. If they like to do that kind of running back by committee, really ever since like the loss of like prime Ezekiel Elliott. And they did have Tony Pollard that was in there too, who was having a good year before he broke his leg a couple years ago. So like maybe he had the potential to do that. But I
Mhm.
think Scatterbo would be a very interesting compliment, I think, to what Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams brings to the table. So just as like just talking points, just trying to figure out like where these guys could end up going. But this pick to me does seem like uh, a running back skill position player spot, just with the amount of guys that are probably going to be around during this time. So Quinshon Judkins, I think, would be a good selection here as well. But
Yeah.
really, the Cowboys, they're in a very unique spot. I mean, they have one of the best receivers in the league as well. They have one of the best edge rushers in the league as well. Those guys can take over games. We've seen them take over games. So that's where that value of those guys and where they can still go and compete and make the playoffs and whatnot. It's going to be interesting with a new head coach and Brian Schottenheimer. Is not Brian Schottenheimer. That's his dad.
No,
Or
it is Brian Schottenheimer.
oh,
Marty Schottenheimer is his
Marty
dad.
Schottenheimer was his dad. Sorry, but how he's going to handle, because that was kind of uh, a little bit of a surprise signing. I think it was kind of like a whatever, like nobody else wants to coach here. It seems like so. Like you go and get him. So how is his first season going to go? How are they going to go and draft? And I think they're just going to be BPA, best player available, the entire draft.
Yeah. No, and that's, I mean, with Jerry Jones running the show, he's one of 32 teams that has like that he's like also the GM. So I hope they just go best player available. I think if they do that, this team, I mean, they have talent. If Dak Prescott's healthy, they're going to be, I think, a fringe playoff team. That division is going to be run by Philadelphia, I think, for a while anyways. Sorry to say that on a Cowboys video, but I just they're going to be a fringe playoff team if Dak can stay healthy. They have CeeDee Lamb. So I think this is a good draft for them to really just kind of build up that supporting cast
Yeah,
for this team. So I think that's the strategy that they will take. And if they find a few stars along the way, then, good for them. But
nice.
let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? None of that. We'll see you guys next time.